So while humans have extraordinary spiritual power, and we could talk about, spiritual power for a whole bunch of time, I've also got to mention today, talk about the ways we as humans can limit the power of our prayers. This was not intended for Father's Day. It sort of kind of works, at least hopefully. We see in 2 Samuel 12 here that God sends Nathan, obviously, to come and confront King David about his sin and about this whole affair. Obviously, the wider story here, if you're not familiar with it, is that many months earlier, David should have been leading the army. He should have been away from home, leading his people, but he's at home, and in a moment of impulsiveness, in a moment of lust, in a moment of stupidity, in a moment of pleasure, maybe, decides to have an affair with the wife of a soldier. When obviously there's a whole bunch of other layers to that as well. When she finds out that she's pregnant, he invites the soldier home to sort of try to, and I'll just see if I can cover this up. And when he can't cover it up, he essentially orders the husband's death. Over time, he marries he marries Bathsheba. And most people, apart from maybe a handful in his inner circle, probably have no idea what's going on. But yet we as God's people have the privilege today of being able to read this and looking at it in blunt form. Not only the fall, but also the aftermath. And there is a very significant aftermath, isn't there? Notice, I want to start here this morning from the last two verses of 2 Samuel 11. I did miss them for a reason, but just want you to notice something. When Uriah's wife heard her husband was dead, she mourned for him. Fair enough. When the period of mourning was over, David sent for her, brought her to the palace. She became one of his wives. She gave birth to a son. But just notice the last line. But the Lord was displeased with what David had done. I want to just mention three things here by way of introduction. First, that last sentence has to be the understatement of the century, doesn't it? And yet it is translated that way in a lot of different Bibles. I actually love the Amplified version. That the Lord considered what David had done to be evil. There's actually, if you look at that in the original languages, and I'm no original languages person, but apparently that last line is meant to carry a significant amount of weight. Like, God has a problem, and so by effect does David, doesn't he? Second, if I had time to give you a bonus point today, and I probably don't, all of us, despite how Christian and how good-looking and how well-educated and how saved and forgiven and good-look and all those things, holy, well-appearing. Can I just tell you, you're only one dumb decision away from disaster? I, as a detective, spent far too much time sitting across a table in an interview room with people who on the surface had their whole life together and had everything good. The partner, the family, the white picket fence, the cars, the job, the career and everything, and one dumb decision on a drunken night or giving in to one urge ruined it all. I cannot emphasize enough to you, one decision has the capacity to ruin everything you got. All right? I love talking about character. And I'll talk about it a lot in years to come. But notice thirdly, this story isn't resolved overnight. When you read this passage and you read the whole story, you can look at it and go, yeah, that's nice. It looks as though it just works itself together and it's over. It ain't over, okay? there is at least a 9 or 12-month period that we can assume at least where a man of incredible faith, appointed by God, loved by God, put there, appointed to this role by God, but clearly his sins, clearly his prayers are impacted, and clearly his prayers are powerless because he hasn't dealt with his sin. All right? I want to suggest the first way today that if you want to limit your prayers, you want to limit your prayer life, you live with a stubborn, unrepentant heart. We don't know, I guess, over the details of this, how many late nights David stayed up. We don't know how many, we don't know the specifics of those 9 or 12 months. We don't know the ins and outs of maybe how many prayers were involved, how many attempts at redemption were attempted. What we do know is that there is a blockage. There is simply a blockage between God and David. And until Nathan comes and confronts him, that blockage remains. And what sets David apart from maybe many other people is, even though he's the king and he can do what he wants, pardon who he wants, legislate whatever he wants, dictate how everybody else has got to live, he has the wisdom and the insight to say, I have sinned against the Lord. He has probably every excuse to minimize and blame and point to somebody else, but he says, before God, I've got to own it, because the only way for me to keep going is to own it. And by doing so, you actually open the wound. You're allowing God into that wound, and you're allowing God's healing touch to start. Now, let's just consider this from the perspective of Christians. Even though we are saved by God's grace and we are set free from the penalty of mistakes, sin, and everything else because of Christ, and even though God's forgiveness is past, present, future, right? We still live with and we still struggle with the presence and the seduction of sin every hour of every day of all of our life. And our world doesn't help this, because our world sort of lives in this little weird bubble that sort of just says, repentance makes me feel bad, and I don't want to feel bad, and I'm not trained to feel bad, so I've got to avoid feeling bad, so therefore I will not feel bad, and I will not be ashamed, and I will be proud of what I've done. Or I will minimize what I've done, or I will justify in some way what I've done, or I'll blame shift, or I'll tend to just, it's not that big of a deal. But God says, you've got to confront it. You've got to confront it and put it right so his healing and restoring work can begin. Just take this back to prayer. When Jesus said in his instructions on how to pray, he said, forgive us our sin. What he was saying was that there is a continual, daily fishing out, I guess, or a pulling out of anything that stands in the way between me and God. That's all he's saying, and that is a fundamental part of what it means to pray. Now, just please hear me here. I'm not suggesting for a second that this says that we should just continue living perpetually in misery. Everyone okay? I'm not suggesting it says keep on mourning your brokenness. Keep living with that wound. Just keep living woe is me. And stop being depressed, wondering if God can fix it, because he can. He can fix it. But his healing will only go as far as you let it. His healing will only go as far as you let it. And over time, God will often reveal things to you 20 years later of something he's trying to teach you that you thought you had got right 20 years earlier. All right? That has been true of me in the last couple of months. I haven't got time to tell that story. But Whether it's something God's Spirit reveals to you by His Spirit, by God's Word, whether it's through a friend, whether it's a prophet sent by God, okay? What is important is that you bring your life before God and say, is there anything before you that I must address? That's got to be the daily posture of what it lives, of what it means to walk with Jesus. I think we tend to limit the effectiveness of our prayers because we have stubborn, unrepentant hearts. And I reckon the story here, just simply to say this, for David it took at least 9 or 12 months. I just feel a need to ask somebody today, how long will it take you? Second way, this is a barn burner, isn't it? Anyway, second way you limit your prayers is an unwillingness to forgive. All right? Jesus said, forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. If you want to quote another remarkable passage about moving mountains and the power of prayer in Mark 11, just notice it finishes with this one. When you are praying, forgive anyone who you are holding a grudge against. You want to limit the power of your prayers? You keep holding grudges. All right? And what Jesus is saying here is that life is far too short and eternity is far too big and to be holding grudges and not to forgive and to keep living with a stubborn, unrepentant, unforgiving heart is a barrier to you praying about anything. Okay? Can I just suggest that one of the reasons we often find prayer sometimes difficult to do and hard to do is we love asking God for things, right? Nothing wrong with asking God for things, but we're also sometimes a little bit slow in giving away the pain of something that drives you. We're slow to give away the pain or the wound of something that because it motivates us on some weird level, okay? And we're not going to release that burden or that label or that name or whatever it is because we've sort of attached our identity to it on some strange level. And if we give it away, well, what's left? The only thing left when you release it is what God leaves there. Healing. I just want to lovingly suggest that there are times we pray for things and we should pray for things and even spending a whole heap of time and effort believing, trusting God that this is His will. Come on, God, get with the program. But we want to hold on to something. And maybe our prayers are only hitting as far as the ceiling. Do you know what I mean? And even maybe we just give it away once and we hope it goes and it gets there enough. And we just want to take it back and keep living there. Okay? And that prevents the closeness and the blessing of God that you're craving today. And it prevents answers to prayer. About now, I would usually, on a Sunday morning, find a really good story to share there. I A, couldn't think of one, but B, just had a sense from God's Spirit that I don't need to say a thing on that statement. The minute I said forgive, a number of you had something before God who you knew exactly what needed to be forgiven. And I don't need to say a thing about it, so I'm not going to. I will let God's Spirit do His work with you. My plea would be simply let Him fix it. Seeing I'm making a great success today and seeing I'm making everybody uncomfortable, I may as well involve the dads. Everyone good? So here's point 3. The third great way you want to inhibit the power of your prayers. Let's call, I actually didn't write it on here. It's actually called don't seek to honour your husband. Don't seek to honour or understand your wife. Dads, men, blokes, fathers, whoever you are, right? 1 Peter 3 has this little passage about loving authority and submission between husband and wife before God. And I couldn't help but notice another little reason our prayers sometimes are not effective. That verse 7 says, husbands, give honour to your wives. Treat your wife with understanding as you live together. She may be weaker than you, but she is your equal partner in God's gift of new life. Treat her as you should. Now, if you stop there, it's just nice life advice, isn't it? But it finishes with, so your prayers will not be hindered. Okay? Notice it doesn't say that women are weaker in any way. It says they're equals. And just remember that at the time, this whole thing was considered revolutionary because women were not listened to. They were considered a commodity. Their opinions weren't valued. They were often misunderstood. Now, this is a church, and I can be a bit controversial here, can't I? There was a famous book written a couple of years ago called Men Are From Some Planet and Women Are From Another One. Can I just suggest to you that there is still a lot of work to be done for us blokes to understand our wives? Is it okay to say that publicly? Is it okay to say that? Good, because the journey continues, and that's okay. Okay, but not only are we called to sacrificially love our wives, or the way Christ loved his church, and be ready to give our lives like Christ did. What Peter is saying here is that there is a very clear consequence here for any husband or any man who fails to treat his wife with honour and understanding. Isn't there? You will either A, find it really, really hard to pray, or you will find it really, really hard, but probably with a stubborn, unrepentant heart, where you're defying what God wants you to do. Or the prayers that you offer, even as well intended as they might be, are limited because they're not honest. You've got to put that heart right before him before he will listen to your prayers. Let me just try to bring this together with a couple of thoughts, okay? I'm not sure where you are today, and I don't pretend to have all of this figured out perfectly, but just we're entering a period as a church where prayer is going to become very, very important. And I would do a grand disservice to you if I kept talking about the power of prayer and the need for prayer, and the passion for prayer, and I didn't talk about the reasons why sometimes your prayer only hits the ceiling. I've got to talk about some of the reasons why, and the point is, you've got to push past that ceiling. You've actually got to push into what does God say? Those heavenly realms. That's the place where prayer gets intervened and answered. But it requires a work in here. It requires the hard work in here to be done first. So you've got to open the wound and let God bring the healing. Many years ago in Billawheeler, I was tidying up some palm leaves, and got a palm prong stuck in my hand, just up there. And you know it immediately when it gets stuck there because it hurts, right? And the first immediate thing you do is when that thing gets hurt in there, there's something stuck there. I'll pull it out. Awesome. Okay. Now you can pull it out all you like, but you can also push on it a couple of minutes later, and you know there is something not right there. Like, you know that there is still some tenderness there and everything else. And the next day when you go to work and you have to use that part there to load your firearm in the police station, the gun's got to get held that way. It reminds you every day when you do it that there is something wrong. And you just keep going, and we push on because life is busy. There's work to be done. There's criminals to be arrested. There's people to be seen. There's stuff that needs doing. I've got to ignore and override. I don't want to deal with the pain of it because it's going to raise up a whole bunch of other issues that I'm not ready to deal with. Okay? But at some point, blokes, you've actually got to man up, go to the doctor, get a scan, and when the scan shows you that there's still a centimetre of the flipping thing in there, you've got to go and get it pulled out. Right? You can leave it there and minimise it. You can leave it there and try to go, well, maybe I can load the gun some other way, right? So, but you've got to man up essentially and find the cause and pull it out. And the only way to heal it was back in Biloela, you went and saw Dr. Tan, who had the reputation of the toughen up princess. Let's pull this thing out right now, sort of thing. Okay, you've got to go and do that. And Dr. Tan, he just puts a bit of local anaesthetic in there and is like, right, let's scalpel out. Let's see if we can find it. That was how it worked. And I can tell you from first-hand experience that it hurt. And the next 2 days, it kept hurting. You can put anaesthetic in there all you like. It hurts. Okay? But today, all that is left is a little mark. It's been healed. It's been healed because that thing that was in there that was causing all the pain got pulled out, and God had the opportunity to bring healing. I have a little scar there. That's all I've got. I finished by saying this. Jesus' body still bears the scars of what he did for you. Jesus' body still bears the scars of what he did for you as a reminder that healing is available wherever you've been and whatever you have done. Doesn't mean there won't be consequences to it. I actually want to read just these last couple of little words. Paul's remarkable words in Romans 8. As somebody who ordered the execution of Christians, if there's an argument to be made about the worst case sinner, the guy who should be the most unforgivable person in the planet, it's him. And yet the Bible says, having encountered Jesus, so there is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ. Let those words shape your identity. For those of you who have never met Jesus today, can I just say that the temptation will be to let whatever's in there stay there. Just keep managing it. Just keep, don't let it out because that would be bad. Don't let it out because things will get messy. Downplay it, rationalise it. I'll just affirm my feelings. It's not a big deal. I can do it. And all I want to say to you today is that Jesus waits at a door to your life, urging, hoping that you will open it to him, that you will experience his forgiveness, and that he will begin that work of healing and wholeness in your life. And there's a whole church here today of people who are not perfect, but who will tell you that Jesus delivers exactly what he promises. Amen. For those of you who have turned to Christ, and maybe it's been a long time since you've ever sort of said something to God in this sort of capacity, let me just say that there is no condemnation for you, but there is still a need to, before God, bring your life to him, put it right. Go to the person affected, put it right with them, and let God continue the healing. I'm going to invite Kevin to come and lead us in prayer. In a minute, we're going to. I think the kids are going to come back in, and we're going to probably just have communion together, where we actually celebrate God's forgiveness of our sin. Right? Communion is a celebration to remember what Jesus has done and to remember that there is no condemnation. But 1 Corinthians also warns us to carefully examine our lives before we have communion, doesn't it? So, if there is something between you and him, if there is something between you and somebody else, if there is something between husband and wife, can I simply encourage you to, before God, put it right now? If there's something significant that's weighing on you, and maybe this morning is not even the morning to have communion, if you know what I mean. If you're not in that place and you need to go and approach somebody, talk it through, I might even ask the communion guys, can you leave some of the communion stuff here? If you need to go and use my office and sit down and have a conversation, you're welcome to do that. If you want to go use Pastor Angela's office and have a conversation, I can't promise it's tidy. I don't know if I can't promise mine's tidy either, but that's enough. It is a storeroom, yeah. But make the space to have that conversation. Put it right. Let God come in, and then remind you of the fact that he heals, and he still heals today. My encouragement to us simply this morning as Kevin comes would be let's bring our lives without reservation to him and let the rest go where it goes.